Dirty Thurkins. Just put in your book that you met Henry Jacobs, and he's 78 years old. You might say I never took a backward step in my life until that depression whipped me. It took away my home, my wife, and a good section of land back in Saskatchewan. It left me with nothing. Write that down.
Vancouver to Halifax in 7.5 days, and I need to beat the railroad, I think. And You see, I get out this 3-gallon gasoline can, and I take out the shears that had a hole in the side. And then I tack her all back together with leather hinges, and there you see I had my own suitcase. And I'd stuff in my precious belongings, and I'd walk out to the highway and stand there. And people thought I was out of gas and needed a ride to get to my car down the road. You see how it worked, boys? Nothing wrong. People just thought natural, friendly. I wasn't a bum or a hobo. I was a fellow motorist in distress. How far are you going, they'd say, and I'd say, Halifax. You see, the joke would be on them. Rides, and more rides, right across the country. Why? People used to invite me in for dinner, only an hour. Stay the night with us, they say, and they didn't even know me from Adam. Why, some would even offer me money. But things was more free and easy back then. Now people are so skeptical, always suspicious of the next fella. You know, something's happened to us all, and I don't like it.
Now, the greatest optimist in the world is the farmer. 1932, sold a binder to a farmer's wife. Now, you gotta understand that the law of the land in 1932 was not, repeat, not what it is today. You see, a man wasn't responsible for anything his wife might sign. Darn good idea, too. But a man has his crop, even in hard times. The farmer always thinks his next crop's gonna be a good one. Mr. Cody, come on out here and put in your front yard. A brand new 1932 John Deere binder. The man had war of machinery and ain't in a pickle.
Oh, I'm afraid we can't possibly afford to buy that binder.
Well, now, Mrs. Cody, I know times are hard, but I stuck my nose in your barn on the way up there and I got a look at your old binder, and it's a wreck. It ain't got a good week left in it, maybe not even a day. This could be a good summer coming.
My husband is away news, John. I think I should wait.
Something else you ought to know is that the songs and stories you're about to hear are the real stories of the real people all across Canada who survived the Depression. And they're all true.
My God, but we were naive. Fight the king's wars, trust our politicians, believe that big wheat crops were the economic cornerstone of the nation, and go to church each Sunday. The 30s sure as hell changed all that.
We had hopes. We had dreams, certainly. We were the class of 35 in Newcastle, and we graduated with the trimmings. And then we were told, right turn, forward march, enter the world.
I've seen clouds of grasshoppers go over like a great storm. They were in the millions. No, tens of millions. I've never seen anything more terrifying than nature on the loose. Gone mad.
It seemed every year you'd read that somebody at some university had invented a wheat which could resist rust. But someone was inventing a bigger and stronger rust. Must have been.
We run from those 10 years. Oh, we're ashamed of them because of what we call a Protestant ethic. Well, which of course in essence means you work your arse off all your life.
Do what the boss tells you.
Oh, and the big guy in the sky, when your time comes, he'll see that you get your reward. Ah!
Well, now, Mr. Cody, I understand that you could be reticent to sign with your husband the way in Moose Jaw. However, allow me to point out that this is absolutely, positively, definitely, indubitably the very last binder I have. Now, if you don't take it, I'm going to have to let it go to your neighbor up the road.
Oh, well, my husband will kill me, but I guess it will have to be done.
Well, ain't you the cat of Janice? Now, you just sign right there. Now, this is crazy, because I don't know if you have the right to sign.
But how will we ever make the payment?
Well, now, Mr. Cody, don't you worry about a thing. You've signed, so I'm going to make sure you make the payments. So I'm walking down the road, and who should I run into? But an old man on his tractor.
Hey, what's up, Harold?
Here, face it, Mr. Cody. Sold a binder to your wife this afternoon. Now, if you're going to get hot and mad, I'll rip this contract up.
You could sell a whale a week to a small town butcher. You got a pen? Thank you.
So he signed it, and that's the way we did business in those days. Anything to get a signature on a piece of paper. Of course, they haven't made a goddamn payment anyway. The grasshoppers had cleaned them out by June. And if they hadn't done it, the drugs would have. It was crazy country.
Every morning I'd cycle down to my land, and I had my 2 dogs drop the idea. I couldn't offer them anything, but they were welcome to sleep in my barn if they wanted. What never ceased to amaze me were these men going nowhere up and down the country, riding back and forth. Freight trains covered with men going absolutely nowhere.
She's a sunny morning. We got our shirts off, sitting on top of this boxcar just east of Calgary. When along comes this other freight from Vancouver to go by us. And there's my cute brother Billy, sitting the largest light and twice as ugly, not 6 feet away from me. Hey, Billy! How the folks?
I don't know, I ain't seen it for some time.
Where you headed? Okanagan Valley.
I just come from there. Ain't no work. It's pretty country, though. So I'll go back with you.
You're kidding.
Well, somebody's gonna look after you.
Oh, yes. Yes. We lived on a farm near Summerside, Prince Edward Island. We had this pony, Baby. Oh, Shetland ponies were wonderful for children. First she'd been my brother's, then my 2 older sisters rode her, and then she came to me. Anyway, my father lost his job at the farm where the owner raised racing horses. My father had a small farm of his own, but he just didn't know farming. All he knew was horses. One summer, my mother sent me for a week to an aunt, her sister in Charlottetown. And when I got home, my father met me at the station. On the way, he said that Baby had died. She'd gotten a bloat. Well, they swell up horribly. You have to puncture the stomach to let the gas in. They hadn't found Baby until it was too late. She'd been picked up by a truck from a fox farm down the road. I cried. Naturally, I would cry. But on a farm, animals die. So I didn't feel that bad. I lost a good friend, oh yes. But that's the way things were. I was about 12 years old. I understood these things. The next summer, I went to the beach with my cousins. One cousin one day, Mary, a vicious little snit, she asked me how my horse had tasted. Oh, she didn't come right out with it. But her brother said that their father, my uncle, had come over to our farm from Kings County and had butchered, had killed, and then butchered my Baby. When he said that, I knew it was true. It had to be, because we'd eaten a lot of stews, cold cuts, dishes that you'd call beef stroganoff now. We seemed to have quite a bit of meat. It was Baby, the pony that we had all loved. We were eating. She hadn't gone to the fox farm. She hadn't gotten the bloat. I never asked my father or my mother if it was true, but I knew it was. And if I did today, if they were still alive, I know that they'd swear on our Bible it just wasn't so. But I know there are some ways that you can't fool a child.
At age 14, I rode into Montreal, a fortress commanded by a few hundred Englishmen and Scotsmen to keep about 2 million Frenchmen alive. I'm half and half, English and Scots. But my sympathies were for Jean-Baptiste, and they still are.
My mother! Montreal Parade, the sewing machine, and the factory of the Gita and the Montreal. They made pants out of this. For salary, for 5 days a week, 9 hours a day, was $3 a week. And there was a bonus too, if you made the quota. There were 120 or so women working in the factory then. My mother said no woman ever made that bonus. Never, ever. If you went to the bathroom more than twice in the shift, you were docked. But there were just 2 toilets. And for those women who ate their lunch out of a machine, there was no washroom, no lunchroom, no fire escape, no sprinkler, no ladder, no window sealed tight. There was no union. You even taught union, and it was out, out, out. Ask for a raise, out. Take 2 days off sick, out. Think, out. The supervisor and foreman were paid to keep the worker down. Well, they were on some kind of bonus they got to run this place as a sweatshop. But these women didn't speak English. They didn't understand what was happening. Just as any machines going all round. Not looking up from the work even. Making a sailor suit for the Navy, a uniform for the Army, and other things for war. It was slave, slave, slave. Taking dirt and eating dirt. Anyone giving those women a kind word, they would have fallen over dead from shock. Yeah, I know that. Bodies lying all over the factory floor. And somewhere in the war, the man who owned the factory and his son were given a commendation by the Canadian government for their valuable contribution to the nation's war effort.
I only remember one thing. The Prince of Wales when he became king. And that Mrs. Simpson. What he saw around him. How we all loved the king. Nice pictures for magazines in my room of the young prince, you know. So handsome. Riding a horse on his ranch in Alberta. Inspecting a regiment. Playing polo. And I guess you could say he was the darling of the world. Anyway, the principal. Well, I can't remember his name. He announced that there would be a special assembly this particular morning in the auditorium. And it was the first time I remember when all the classes were there. From the little ones up to the grade 9.
Good morning, children.
Good morning, Mr. McPhee.
Please be seated. Now I know that your parents have been reading a lot about that woman from Baltimore. Well, let me just say this. The king is the king, and England is England, and thank God for that in these perilous times. We are gathered here today to listen to a very important transatlantic radio broadcast. Our king, whom we all love very dearly, is today to make a very important decision. A decision which will affect us all very deeply.
This is the BBC, London. Please stay tuned for a frightfully important announcement from Buckingham Palace.
His voice came over quite clear. I mean, you could hear the words clearly. And the way he put it, I don't think most of us realized what he had just said.
My loyal subjects, an important announcement which I must. The woman I love.
Oh, I remember the part about the woman I love, or the woman I must have beside me to help bear the burdens.
about the third Shirley Temple dolls. You know, one year they were all the rage. Everybody and everyone was talking about Shirley Temple, going to see her movies and reading stories about her in the newspapers and the fan magazines. Shirley Temple, Shirley Temple, Shirley Temple. You know, Eaton's used to turn a big part of their store into Toyland every year at Christmas. Well, that year, the Shirley Temple year, they had these dolls along one end of the Toyland. There must have been hundreds of these dolls, and they weren't cheap. Because then they moved girls from all over the store to work in the Toyland about 6 weeks before Christmas. And I was one of them that year. You know, I never knew a girl who wasn't glad to leave that place. Oh, girls used to marry fellas that they didn't even care for just to be free of Edens. Oh, yes. Those dolls. You know, I'd stand and watch the faces of those little girls. Little faces. But they needed food. And you can tell a lot needed a pint of milk 1,000 times more than they needed a Shirley doll. But they just stand and stare for hours. I tried to shush them away, but it didn't do any good. You know, once I had this crazy notion that I was going to give away Shirley dolls to those kids. Here you go, little girl. This one is for you. And this one is for you. Oh, and this great big one is for you, darling. And I thought I'd keep going until I got caught, and then I just pleaded insanity. Well, I never did. Of course. No. Those 6 weeks with those goddamn dolls were the worst I ever put in. And I wonder if Shirley Temple ever realized the misery those dolls caused children all over the world. I don't suppose she ever even thought about it.
Miss Nolan, you were employed by the T. Eaton Company Limited of Toronto?
Yes, I was.
And when you first went there, what was the nature of your work?
Well, you see, we had to make this dress of cotton crepe. And we had to make the blouse with double fronts drilling between on one side and the riding sleeve. And we had to make that skirt and join it to the blouse. And then we had to sew the bow that's on the shoulder, but sewn in just such a position so that it could be threaded through the buttonhole. And then you had to make the belt loops. You got $1.15 a dozen.
How much?
$1.15 for that amount of work.
That is approximately 9.5 cents per dress.
For that amount of work.
What does each dress sell for?
$1.59 each. It took an ordinary woman $6 to make a dozen. So maybe in a day you could make maybe $2. But all the while Eaton said it was paying $12.50 a week. Oh, and it was. But you had to be a damned octopus to make it. So I went to the supervisor.
Did you make your minimum for the previous week?
Of course not.
Well, then you go home. You go home and don't you come back until I call for you. We will call for you when we're good and ready.
So I went to the manager.
That is the new system we are bringing in. Every time a girl falls down on her work, she will get 1 week's holiday.
How am I going to live that week?
You can report to our welfare office. We have a generous welfare office. We are known for that. Eaton's takes care of their sick and destitute as any family would.
John David Eaton remembers the Depression as a time when his company spent millions to shield its employees from the hardships of unemployment. John David Eaton remembers that as a good time, and he remembers it with affection.
Nobody thought about money in those days because they never saw any. Why, you could take your girl to a supper dance at the hotel for $10. And that included a bottle and a room for you and your friends to drink it in. I'm glad I grew up then. They were good times for everyone. People learned what it means to work.
We only stop work for an outhouse call, to sit alone with some reading, then reach for the catalog hanging on the wall. And turn our page when it comes.
During the Depression, we lived in the Cypress Hills in Saskatchewan. You might say that was one of the hardest hit areas of the country. We were as poor as church mice, but we didn't starve. We just didn't have enough to eat. I remember one Christmas, I really wanted a Lionel electric train. You know, they looked so wonderful in the catalog. Oh, I wanted that train. I got an orange that Christmas. A round, orange. That was all. I can't even look at an orange now without thinking of that Christmas.
We lived on Lynn Street in Toronto. And I think everybody when my dad was out of work on our block. And in the summer, they just sit on their porches, arms folded, and wait for something to happen. Nothing ever did.
Relief left its mark on many a good man today, let me tell you. Oh, those Canadians with all that pride in them. The worst part of it all was they didn't understand what was happening to them. They didn't understand it at all. Some still don't.
I'm not sure I do. There was this little guy who lived a few doors down the street from us. Well, the kind you'd have to say was a nothing, who never said anything much, you know. It was 6 miles downtown to where the unemployment offices were, and you had to get there by 6 in the morning to have any chance of getting a job. So this guy would get up at 4:30, winter or summer, and down he'd trudge day after day. It seemed he could never get a job.
Relief was a disgrace. Men used to tell me they'd walked around the block 8 or a dozen times before they had the nerve to come in and apply for the dole. It was as if they were signing away their manhood.
Ah, Frank Davis. Haven't seen you out curling lately.
No, I've been busy going belly up. Look, I've tried and I've lost.
So, now you expect the government to look after you.
Well, I figure some of that tax money I've been paying should start working for me.
Right. Okay, I'll put you on the relief list. That's for you, your wife, and how many kids still got about?
Just 2 at home. 2 boys on the road without a fair dog.
Right, that'll give you $19 a month.
We'll live on that. It'll be tight if the wife's pretty candy.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask for your liquor permit.
What the hell for?
Don't put on relief and a permit. I don't make the rules, Frank. Just one's there.
But you know I'm not a drinker.
So you shouldn't mind parting with it.
Well, I'm not a goddamn kindergarten kid either.
Another thing, Frank. I'm not sure if this is a regulation or not. The district office says we have to tell you. You or anybody. Beer. If you're seen in a beer parlor and somebody squawks, relief can be cut off just like that.
Applying for the dole is bad enough, but when you treat a man like a criminal.
Oh, you walk into the office in the basement of the fire hall. Oh, that's where they passed out the vouchers. Well, anyway, they got this one line for the married men and the women, and another for the single guys. Well, don't ask me why. Don't ask me about anything in those days. Well, everyone is waiting in line, and that Neil boss, this little jerk, slaps his hand.
All right, lunchtime. Come back at 1:30.
These women had to wait in line for 3 hours with their kids crying.
Too bad, but these are the hours.
Well, where's your assistant? The guy who handles the other line.
I kept firing yesterday because there ain't enough work around here for 2. And what goddamn business is it of yours?
Listen, you little creep. It is my goddamn business. There is enough work here for 2 guys, 4 guys even. So you are going to stay in line and look after these women until you're finished.
I'll miss my lunch.
Oh, then you can just go piss off the road. And every time I wanted to make my point, I jerks up on his tie and bounces my fist off his chin. Oh, I asked him if he understood. You're goddamn right he understood.
I'll call the police.
Oh, well, then you just better call the goddamn ambulance, too.
I know who you are. I'll pull you off the door.
Oh, and I know who these women are. And their husbands. When I tell them what's been going on down here, they're going to come in with me this time next week. And when we walk through that door, you're going to have my voucher ready
right, you can pick out something.
Yeah, if the broadcasting station is in the hayfield next to you.
Hey! Did you hear about Vance?
What, is he dead?
Nope.
He got a job.
He just went out and picked himself up a new DeForest Crosby.
No!
$300.
Christ, where the devil did he get the cash?
He and the Lord only knows, but there it is, sitting in his tiny living room. A monster.
Sounds like one of them Opry singers.
He turned it up last night just to show it off, full blast. And the windows and the frames actually shook, vibrated.
They got this little shelf along one wall with chime mirror on. When he turns it on, every piece goes into a little bag.
You wouldn't believe it. People be coming all the way from Pembroke just to listen.
Dozens of men are working for wages which will provide only the bare essentials for themselves and their families.
Their earnings will not permit the purchase of necessary clothes.
Help a needy fellow citizen through the rigors of a Canadian winter.
Buy yourself a smart new suit.
And donate your old one to some needy fellow.
Here's the sort of neighborliness we've all dreamed about.
The sort that will cost you next to nothing.
This public service announcement has been brought to you by courtesy of the Robert Simpson Company of Montreal.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for important message from the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honorable R.B. Bennett.
Bennett! When they made him, they threw away the mold.
A fat, sleek, contented bowler had it dough.
He was a corporation lawyer, you know. A lawyer, God knows, is bad enough. But a corporation lawyer is pure dynamite. Why, he'd steal the pennies off the dead man's eyes and swear because they weren't quarters.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister. The difficulty about these matters is that too much reliance is being placed upon the government. The people are not bearing their share of the load. Half a century ago, people would work their way out of their difficulties rather than rely on their government to take care of them. The fiber of some of our people has grown softer, and they're not willing to turn in and save themselves. They now complain because they have no money. When they were earning money, many of them spent it in speculation and in luxury. Luxury means anything a man has not an immediate need for with regard to his financial position. I do not know what the result of the present crisis may be, but unless it induces men and women to think in terms of toil rather than in terms of bewilderment because of conditions they helped create, the end of organized society is not far distant.
Over. Here we are, ladies, with household hint number 3 from Housewife Luga. First, take an empty flour sack from Maple Leaf Milling Company. Wash it out well, bleach out the lettering, turn it upside down. Cut 2 holes in the arms for the side, one at the top for the neck. Tuck in here, do a little tightening and fixing there. Put in a hem, and what do you have? A party dress that's fit for a 9-year-old queen. And now for household number 4.
And now, stay tuned for a real-life, true Canadian drama, Prairie Winter, Part 1.
Cold day after day, around 45 below. The house wasn't that much. No insulation then. Fire burner in the kitchen and wood hard to get.
Just waiting for the next big wind to blow us into the gulch.
Anybody home?
Just there, down at the Regina.
Gavin, how did you get through weather like this?
We railroad men stop at nothing. I brought some National Geographics for the kids. No sense having those stinky pipes around without something to put in them, Jim.
Well, God darn the blankety heck, the whole tin full of the best brand.
Thanks. Can I take your coat, Gavin?
Oh, no thanks, Mary. It's a trifle cold. I've spent considerable time in the Arctic. How do you stand it here?
Well, I know, Gavin. You know, God didn't. God never meant for people to live like this, in the cold.
Jumping to Elizabeth. She's never cried in front of the children before.
But I am now.
I'm sorry, Mary. It's just that I've seen Eskimos in igloos living warmer and cozier than this. How about you, kids? Would you like to live in an igloo?
Oh, yes, yes.
Come on then, outside. How deep's the snow in this gully?
Captain and I'd say about 9 feet.
Oh, that's deep enough. Start digging. The mouth faces away from the wind.
Howdy, neighbor. Where the heck is everybody?
Over here in the snowbank, John.
Well, chop my legs off and call me Shorty. I heard of it, but I ain't believe it.
Come on in, John. But you can't share the light.
Brought some of my homemade singing juice.
Been watch out, Mr. Carver. The police has been around.
Looking for trouble, eh?
No, just curious.
Well, no wonder. I'll bet you folks could join us. Come on, flick or two.
Radio was the big thing, and boxing was radio. The big one in those years was Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber.
That's tremendous crowd gathered at Madison Square Garden tonight. Look at the ground as Jim Braddock comes from his corner. Joe Louis is opening quickly. A Hartley hand in hand, pulled from by the right. Braddock's got above the left thigh. Louis now picking that left hand, pulled from by right cross. A hard left foot, and he's down!
Half the people called him Joe Louis. They couldn't pronounce his name right, but they sure knew him. Of course, everybody knew without one iota of proof that the fight business was crooked. Well, not Joe Louis, but everybody else.
Tommy Fogg, British heavyweight champion, now it's for round one. Louis is looking very powerful. Like clicking that left hand now. Followed by right cross. A hard left kick to the body with a hard streaking right cross. And left right combination to the body again. Far's battle is staggered already. Farr misses with the right. Louis counter punching very effective with a hard left hand to the right, followed by the left hand.
In my opinion, Farr couldn't hit worth a damn. But he kept staying up. You see, the thing was, he wasn't winning, but he kept on fighting. Well, Louis won as we all knew he would, but Tommy the Welshman put up one hell of a fight.
In round 15, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Farr is taking everything Joe Louis can possibly throw at him tonight. It is incredible can he make it through this final round. Louis is looking very powerful as Farr staggers from his corner, blood streaming from both eyes. Louis working away on the body now with the left. A hard right into the left again. Farr's against the ropes. The referee pushing, and then Louis. Louis linking a left hand into the right now. Another sweeping right hand. Farr's against the ropes again. Some tremendous punches here with left. A hard right. Farr against the ropes once again. And Louis now a tremendous attack to the left. A right, a left, a right, left. Oh!
There was this little old man who lived next door to us named Marshall. He'd been a butcher for a red and white store. He got let go. He had no money put away. None. His wife was dead and he was lonely. He was about 50, I think. But to a kid of 12, that's pretty old. He came over to play cribbage with my old man one night. He was feeling low, and when he left, he said, "Harry, I've been feeling poorly the past while. If you don't see any smoke coming out of my chimney, would you drop over? See how I'm doing?" And he put his hand up to his heart to emphasize his point. My dad said, "Joe, I never knew you had a bum ticker." And he said, "I haven't. It's just busted right in two." Well, about a month later, my mother said she hadn't seen anything doing around the Marshall place. So she sent me over. The front and back doors were locked, but there was a basement door. I got in that way. I didn't know where the light switch was, so I started feeling my way up the stairs. Then all of a sudden, I felt these two bumps on my chest, as though I'd run into two objects. And you know, I guess my brain wasn't working because it took me a couple seconds, in fact, until I felt the ankles. And then I knew there were shoes. Feet. Old man Marshall was hanging there. He tied the rope around the beam, put the noose over his head, and just jumped into space.
If they wanted you to pick fruit in a hurry, you were an economic savior. The rest of the time, you were shit.
You didn't just hop on a boxcar and away you went. No, sirree, I seen too many bodies cut in two. Legs off, heads off. You had to run a quarter of the speed of a train on slippery gravel, sloping grade. When you're doing your best lick, you figure how fast the train's going. One car goes by, get ready for the next, and jump up on top. Flying on top on a sunny spring day was a joy. But in fall, rain, snow, it was bad. And in the winter, there was a quick way to die. You can always tell a professional. Fleas, lice, crabs, always being a shade. A 3-day beard, never a 1-day beard. It was a younger man's business. Older men over 40 couldn't stand the gas. The cold, poor food, and tension. Any man who spent a year riding the freights didn't have much respect for the police.
Cowsweed? They eat grass green and Russian thistle. You know what's the difference between a gopher and a red squirrel? Squirrel is a delicacy, ain't it? Hair is sort of a delicacy. But how about gopher pie? And you get a casserole dish, you line it, you lay it out with 8 strips of gopher meat, then you get 2 good strips of side and belly meat off each one of them. Laid out a thin layer of sliced potatoes and so on, all the way up. Wrap it around the stove, pop it in the oven, there you have it. There's nothing wrong with meat, it's just a thought. But what is wrong with gopher?
I heard of people eating gopher, but I ain't believe it. Now, if you were to eat a barn rat in a stew, I wouldn't believe it. Now, that's another matter altogether. I mean, barn rats is plump and grain-fed. Up in medicine hat, they're the best looking livestock we got around the place.
I was not a hobo. A hobo is a regular bum, a professional bum. Hoboism is a state of mind. I was a wanderer, one of the unfortunates, a victim of the economic situation, perhaps. Certainly, most certainly, a casualty in the battle that was being fought between the ignorant men who were running this country. I once got 30 days in jail for riding a freight into some godforsaken Saskatchewan city, which, thank God, the economic ebbs and flows of the last 2 decades have served to reduce to a position of impotence. I refer to the metropolis of Moose Jaw, but I do have a criminal record. And to me, as one who survived what we call the Great Depression, that is a badge of honor.
Excuse me, sir. I'm a poor lad from the miners' basin down in Nova Scotia. And me father was a war veteran, and me mother has just written to tell me that he's dying of his old wounds. I was wondering, sir, could you help me out just a little bit to get home to stroke that old head of his before he passes on? That would have elicited tears from Cathedral Mountain, especially outside the door of Canadian Legion Hall on a Friday night.
Now, every fella had his own nickname and his own pack of stories. He used to tell them outside the fires in the jungles. And you knew damn well he'd either made them up or stolen them from somebody else.
I'd improvise my story, I'd elaborate on parts, then I'd turn on the steam.
He was a great liar, and as a consequence, he was never short of money.
I never paid for a ride, not even a 5-cent streetcar ride to get out to the highway. I always had a little story, a tale of woe.
And a voice that could sing to the angels.
I never paid for a meal, not even in Chinese restaurants with sloping floors and strawberries kept on the ceilings. And fancy restaurants I get taken to by important gentlemen to pick me up on the highway. Ah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
And I thought I'd heard the same story in Brandon, or Winnipeg, or Toronto. And I'd turn around and there would be that same hobo telling his same pack of stories.
I never worked during the Depression. A lovely woman befriended me in her little home in Regina.
I used to look at his hands and say they were the hands of a concert pianist.
She was a lovely woman and an excellent cook. And she was sorry to see me go.
He had blonde hair in those days, with big blue eyes, and a face as shiny as the polished buttons on a Dutchman's vest, and a gift of the gab that would melt the heart of any woman or man before you were 18 bars into the melody. Down with all the blast.
In every story, the teller was always the hero or the big shot. The joke or the trick was never on him. Never.
I did very well, but things were simpler then. I do well today, too. I could be living in a fine apartment. I have good clothes stored with friends in Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, Toronto. I could stay with any of them any time. But I prefer this life of the road. I bum and hobo and tramp. But I am not a bum, a hobo, nor a tramp. I am a man, highly tuned to his 5 senses.
I saw one man kill another man in a hobo jungle outside Kamloops in British Columbia, and it wasn't about food or money either. One fellow said that Roosevelt was the president of the United States. The other fellow said, no, it was Coolidge. Well, one thing led to another. They always do. The Roosevelt fellow picked up the other fellow and threw him.
Go to sleep, you weary hobo.
And he fell and hit his head on the iron by the fire.
Let the town swing slowly by.
It appeared to me the iron point entered his ear.
Can't you hear the steel rails humming?
Anyhow, he was dead, or we thought so.
That's the hobo's lullaby.
He certainly looks dead to me.
Do not think about tomorrow.
So the Roosevelt fellow picks him up and carries him onto the tracks.
Let tomorrow come and go.
And along comes a freight and squishes his head to nothing.
Tonight you're in a nice warm boxcar.
So where was your evidence?
Safe from all the wind and snow, so go to sleep, you weary hobo.
I reckon 50 men saw that killing if one saw it.
Let the town slip slowly by.
To this day, that was a drunk fire head on the rails.
Can't you hear the steel rails humming? That's the hobo's lullaby.
I remember coming back from London to the station one night to meet Daddy as he was coming back from somewhere. And there's this freight train coming in from Montreal like this. And these young boys, young men, were jumping off the boxcars and running. And there was this friend of mine, a neighbor, very good friend, and I always thought the world of him. And there he was, chasing these boys, with a great big stick. He was a great big brute of a man. Guess I only seen the gentle side. I saw him chasing these boys, really hitting them with the stick of his. I just couldn't believe my eyes. You see, he worked for the railroad. This was his job. Such a kind, gentle man to his neighborhood, his family, the kids. I can still see this man striking out with that club of his. Like that, and that, and that. Terrible. I could never understand it. Never.
I wasn't there, but I heard about it plenty. Seems there was this railroad cop missing at Regina. Well, they sent some of the crews out to search the empty cars in the yard. They found him all right. Nailed up, just like Christ was. With his own billy club rammed up his ass. We often wondered if they did that to him after he had died and when he was still alive. The whole thing is hushed up. You know, there are railroad cops and railroad cops. Some of those guys that work for the CPR were the meanest bastards on the face of the
Greek or Syrian, smooth, all of an oily skin. Oh, a most objectionable little creep. Lived with his wife and kids in an apartment up above. Hired me on the spot. $1 a day, my supper, and all the tips I could make. Tips? You gotta be kidding. This was 1934. Well, anyway, he showed me how to work the till and just waved up to where the menu was printed on the wall. The second night, he came down at about 11:30, checked me out. He even counted the meat patties in the fridge to make sure the day man wouldn't be pulling a fast one. And then he called me into the little store in the back. Pushed me up against the wall, lifted up my dress, pulled down my panties. And there you have it. There. Just as calmly as I'm telling you now. He shoved it into me. Now, I'll admit it wasn't my first time, but I have never been more surprised in my entire life. Well, I can't say that anything has surprised me that much since. There it was, rape, whichever way you look at it, and I just stood there and took it. Oh, my poor mother, she would have died. Well, anyway, he was out in a few seconds, over with.
lovely couple. At each other's throats.
I came home from school one day. When I told my mother that a little Italian girl in my class couldn't hold a pencil, well, because her knuckles were split and bleeding because of the cold. Well, no mitts, you see. Mama, Holly's got no mitts. Give her your mitts. Well, what about me? Give that poor child your mitts. And forbid her desperately happy. That's when my mother started knitting mitts. Oh, unraveling old sweaters, anything woman. Rewinding that wool and knitting mitts. Big ones and small ones. And I gave them up. Mother, I can still see her yet just sitting by the radiator, knitting away. You know, she did a pair of mitts a day. And it got to be so that every poor kid in our district had some. Mother just kept right on knitting. And she did until the year of her death. 15 years later. You see, it had become an obsession.
The day of the funeral, in fact, when no one was at the house because, well, they were all at the funeral, I saw a man walk to that house and stand there, pretending to ring the doorbell. He looked around, didn't see me, and then he took the black wreath off that door and shoved it under his jacket and walked away. I followed him on my bike. He went down a couple of blocks, went inside a house, and came back out with a hammer and a nail. And he hung that black wreath on his own front door. I went home and told my dad about it. He checked it out. It turns out that man's wife had died the night before.
I was walking back after trying to find some sort of work, and I saw this lady get out of a big car, stuff a whole bunch of letters into this mailbox. Well, I went up to the mailbox, and I propped it open with a chunk of ice. I took out my hand and lit it with a wooden match. Then when it was going good, I stuffed it into the mailbox and walked away. No one saw me do it. I didn't feel any better. I was still as cold and hungry as ever. But here I had stuffed a blazing hanky in amongst His Majesty's mail, and that was a serious federal offense. I could have gone to the penitentiary for a long time. So why did I do it? To this day, I really don't know. Take me somewhere far away from this madness, to a place where the sun shines as well as the moon. Sometimes she laughs or cries in my madness. There's no promise leaving, it still makes her blue.
We lived in what was called a relief house. Everybody was destitute, and your examiner, inspector, relief officer, or whatever you wanted to call
got to write a letter. To who? To the relief people. To tell them what this man is doing. Because what he's doing is against the law. And it's wrong. So's what we're doing. What are we doing? Well, if what he's doing is against the law, then taking his stuff is against the law too. Is it wrong? No. It's right. But it's against the law.
Take me somewhere far away from this madness, to a place where the sun shines as red as the moon. Sometimes she laughs or cries at my madness. There's no promise living, it still makes her blue.
I bought a pack horse and headed down the Fraser River. Got a woman too. Just rode into an Indian camp to make a deal with her old man. For $10, one steer, and she brought over a pony. Well, we headed up into the hills, found a trapper's cabin in good shape, and I patched up the stove, put some shakes on the roof. We both worked like hell. She was quite a gal, I remember. She loved her white man with the tattoo on his arm. Helped me a lot, that girl. Of course, it wasn't all peaches and cream. Not that we saw any cream, or peaches for that matter. Louise gave me trouble, not because she was an Indian, but because she was a woman. All those pictures on the walls, the lady magazine things, out there, goddammit, was another world. Shiny cars and long dresses and champagne. Why couldn't we go to Vancouver? When are we going to go to Vancouver, Woodsy? Why couldn't we go to Vancouver and see the movie shows? I told her. Out there, the whole world was going belly up. It was the dirty 30s, of course. Oh, but here was a girl at 19. Pretty as a mountain. Tall, slim, smart. She'd never seen a movie show. Or heard the radio, or worn a right dress for that matter. And well, for Christ's sake, it was only a matter of time before I caved in. So one day I says to her, now you get your gear together, we'll ride down to Clinton, catch the PG, and go to town. Vancouver. She was like a kid with a new red wagon. But about 3 days later, I go out to get horses, and when I bring them back around, there she is standing there in an outfit you would not believe. It was high society, just like those smart outfits in the magazines. And now somehow she bought the material, fall before I guess, and she studied those pictures, and she made this outfit. Skirt, jacket, blouse, gloves, the works. Her feet were still in moccasins. Well, I oohed and on. She giggled. We headed down the trail, and Louise was side-saddled. Skirt, you see. Side-saddled on a western saddle, if you can believe it. Ladylike as hell. We get to the first creek, and her pinto, one of those Indian scrub, well, she must have caught an eye just then. A flash of her red skirt, red out of the scarlet. Anyway, he gives a sideways jump, more of a skid. But Louise was side-saddled. She went. Started tumbling, not sliding, and I heard this crack. Stink. Crack. She falls and hit her head on the rock. Somehow something told me she was dead before I got there.
good land. But what kind of a government with the land agents in it would tell people to go to that country?
Farmers, immigrants, why stick around Alberta, Alberta farms? Why in northern Alberta there's deep gold and sunshine and rain when you need it. Rich land, free land, go north!
Mister, that was pretty powerful bait. So we go to the land office, the agent just looks at the wife and me.
Alberta,
Yeah.
land.
Yes.
Well, it's not my job to tell you folks to turn around and go home, please, because, well, where your home is probably ain't no more. Well, here you have it, northern Alberta. Now, all that's taken, but that up there is streets, so you can pick.
Now I ask you, how are you supposed to pick out a farm by pointing and saying there? But that's the way it seemed to be done.
Okay, I'll give you folks a break. A farmer fellow was in here the other day, and it seems he's backing up and leaving his homestead. But he's leaving a house and a barn, and you might be able to pick up some equipment he didn't unload.
We'll take it.
She's yours.
But why did that man leave his homestead?
Wasn't strong enough. Didn't know how to farm that kind of land. Ran out of money. Just didn't have the heart. Well, you want it?
Looks like your dad's back from town. All right, at the table.
All right, get Jim and the girls in here. It's about time we had a council of war. Now, I realize that foreclosure's coming on pretty quick, and, well, the government says there's good land up north, so...
So we better go.
Can't be rougher than here.
I've really got to like this district. It's my life. So we head north. How?
Wagon travel.
Almost said we can stay no more. Got to leave the land. Close the door. Leave our friends back and move away. Maybe we can all come back someday. Sally way to go in the cloud. Me and Arthur huddled in the back.
You're charitable, you can call these goddamn things roads. Freeze in winter, and in the summer, musty. Yeah!
The only time I ever wanna cry. The only time since my daddy died. As we roll away in the pouring rain. Oh, sad and so.
Howdy! Can I help you out?
Had enough. Wait. Tell you what. Tell you the wagon and the horses. Hold on for $10.
Well, I don't know. They don't look to be in much better condition than my team.
Well, go ahead then. It's not the muskeg that's gonna get you. But the critters that live in it.
Goddamn mosquitoes?
God's punishment.
My dad said when I leave this earth, it's gone as ours, you only gave it birth. Please never let this old place come to harm. Keep the land, son, for Lord's sake, keep the farm.
They're having the blood sucked right out of them, man.
They're too thin.
Well, we can't afford to give them more grain.
We've already dumped off the grain separator, a chest of drawers, a few sacks of coal and other things. All the mosquitoes in the world seem to be right where we
Well,
are.
they're just as bad 200 yards away. Whoa, Daisy!
You crazy bitch! She's gone insane.
Black mosquitoes and red with blood. The horses aren't going to make it. They just don't have it in them.
But we can camp here for a few days. There's pea vine and veg for fodder. That creek over there is probably boiling with hungry jackfish.
Much fire for the horses, kids.
Yeah, we'll slather them with mud to protect them and feed them up with oats. They'll be okay.
We're not diseased, just loss of blood and not enough to eat.
So, Mary, I figure those horses have just given up the will to live, and it's the mosquitoes doing it.
How do you know that?
Because it ain't difficult to feel the same way.
The only time I heard my daddy cry. The only time since his little daddy died.
The breeze is up now, Dad. It'll blow the insects away to make things easier. Go on.
It's 3 days now. They've had the wind
still down.
Well, they're gonna get out if I have to boot their arses from here to Great Slave Lake. Daisy!
Oh, Christ. She's dead. So is McGildy.
On the same day? Being stranded on a rock in the ocean. Bear rock. Watching the last ship of the world sail away.
Well, girl, I guess that just about does it. Come into this world with nothing, 44 years later, we're left with nothing.
Pack-ups and pots and pans and clothes. Rifle and we'll leave the whole kit and caboodle at the side of the door.
Sheriff's name, they had a paper law, signed and sealed by our banker's law, said that we had to move along. Mama needed help, she didn't feel too strong, and all the children's sadness, it just seemed so wrong.
Jesus Christ! You've been walking 17 days? God, you're way off the main road. Miles off. You shouldn't have the place nobody ever goes.
It's my fault. I should have read the sun.
Look, if you would have waited for winter, your lumberjacks and slaves would have come along.
This is a logging road?
Like there's no farmland up that way at all. Fools can't find that land.
No. I lost 2 horses and all my patience finding out. But I'll tell you this. I'll kill every skeeter within half a mile of me. I'm pure hell on skeeters.
Me? I'm the Megsy. French-Canadian brand father. Prairie woman brand mother. I'm a half-breed. My kids, my grandchildren, all born shit. Everybody north of Prince Albert is Megsy. And Portuguese on the railway gangs, well, they're darker than we are. But they don't take this shit. Yeah, the dirty birds. Well, the Indians, they hated us. The white guys, they hated us. You see, in those days, everybody had to have somebody to hate. And we were it. Same today. What else? We didn't hate nobody. Same today. But I sure hope those Red Power guys sure beat the shit out of those government guys, a bunch of rotten bastards.
R.B. Bennett said that nobody in Canada was dying of starvation. Or if he meant like Ethiopian kids with bloated bellies. No, not that kind of starvation. But I know one family who lost 3 kids from hunger, lack of food, malnutrition, diarrhea which they couldn't fight because they were so weak. Well, that to me is dying of starvation. They were my sister's kids. And every day at Bennington Hill I curse him 1,000 times, even today. And if he's in heaven, I curse him 1,000 times and wish he was in hell. I will do it until I die.
If you thought the army was bad, then you've never been to one of them relief camps. Okay, slaves, off your arses! We're gonna cut trail today, slaves! They just wanted us out of sight.
20 cents a day. That was an insult. That was the worst part. But you forget quickly. I only think about it 4 or 5 times a day.
That was 200,000 young men really pissed off at society and the government.
Then we met Art Evans. Well, sure, he was a tough nut, but he could organize, and he was doing something, and it was more than anybody else was doing.
You know, the communists thought they had something going for them, and really they had nothing.
He told us, we want to get something done, we're going to have to go to Ottawa and see R.B. Bennett. All the Reds were Ukrainians and Jews. So about 1,000 of us left Vancouver, another 1,000 or so joined along the way.
They could change their names all they liked, but they couldn't change the shape of their heads.
We spent a day at Kamloops, got a soup kitchen set up, some tobacco passed out, it went okay.
They were all Jews, Kikes, Yids, Bohons, Hunyaks, Ukrinskis, Call them anything you like, but they could be spotted a mile away.
Calgary went okay too. In fact, everything was going along just like free beer out of a spigot until the CPR told us we couldn't ride the freights anymore.
No bohunk is gonna have me salute the red flag and sing the International.
That was a laugh.
It ain't no goddamn Montreal Jew is gonna push me around and have me spit on the Union Jack.
Look at it this way. We were disciplined. Art Evans told us it had to be that way. That by being neat and polite and organized, even in our old duds, was the only way to win public support. So I figured the Regina riot was what today you'd call a snow job. A police riot, and against us, the Trekkers.
I'm sorry a policeman got killed and some of our boys got arrested, and it made a lot of noise across the country. But it was a snow job. Old Army Bennett wanted to discredit the Trek, and he did. Oh yes, he succeeded. Guns were firing. Guess who had the guns? We were just a bunch of reds carrying the car. It wasn't like that at all. We were just a bunch of ordinary guys. But Bennett stuck the label on us, and it stuck. He did a lot of harm that day, that guy.
Get out your Bennett buggy. Let's go for a ride in the lovely countryside. 2 horsepower, 5 miles an hour. With Darling and Dolly, it's back to work again.
Now you asked me what a Bennett buggy was? Well, in the 20s, farmers bought automobiles. You know, Chevs, Fords, Hufflebeels, all kinds that don't even make anymore. Well, then came the crash, and there was no money left for gasoline, let alone repairs, and they'd thrown away all the fine farm buggies they used to have. So what was left? A car that wouldn't run.
Oh, make your own Bennett buggy. Put a tongue into the chassis. You'll be riding classy. With horses pulling double, you'll have no engine trouble. And you'll get back to town by next Sunday night. Oh, you don't need no gas. Just slap that horse's ass, Army.
You know, Bennett had taught us everything we needed to know about fascism. So I, the next year with dozens of other guys from the Trek, joined the Mackenzie Packino Battalion that went to the aid of the Spanish Republic.
We were just a bunch of guys that got caught in the middle. The wrong war. No bands played for us. People got up in Parliament and called us communists, Bolsheviks. One fellow said that we'd gone to Spain to fight in the Red Army and Canada was best rid of us. Now sure there were some communists in with us, nobody's gonna deny that. But there were a lot of guys too who joined up just for the heck of it. They were tired of bumming around this country without a penny in their pockets. But if you take a lot of us, if ever there was a bunch of guys in Canada at that time with a social conscience, a sense of what was right and what had to be done to defeat wrong, then we were it. I joined up and I studied history, pattern progression, and I could see what was going to happen. I thought I could help stop Hitler. No sense talking about it. Nobody remembered Guy Fidel. Oh, I remember a few names. Battles. Few good times we had. And I remember we were treated like shit when we got back home. Here we were, 1939. The only real soldiers in all of Canada. 1939! The only battle-tested men under modern conditions. We were tough. We knew all the tricks. And they did not want us in the army. The Canadian Army. We were subversives. Like the fellow said in Parliament, we fought in the Red Army. That's pure gold. We were treated like rats. We died like men.
What this country needed was leadership. We got Bennett King. It's a sad situation and it still exists today.
Bible Bill Abrahart
young men out playing soccer, and they won't go around talking revolution.
Then there was this guy traveling around Ontario with the economic theory that if every family spent 50 cents a day more, Canada could spend its way out of depression. Well, they booed him in Toronto, and they threw tomatoes at him in Hamilton, and somebody threw a dead cat at him in Windsor. They were sure waiting for him in Windsor.
All right, men, now, pushing room for all. Sergeant, get these men off the street. Come on, boys.
There was every type. There were men out of the jungles, men in business suits and college kids. There was the old guys just itching to get in, the ones from the last war. They were the ones who made sense. They knew how to form lines and how to carry out orders. Already they had a good look to them. Straight facts, you might say.
Come on, boys, join the army.
I just want to get away from the whites.
3 square meals a day.
That lousy job.
No need to worry, nothing to pay.
That shit of a boss.